Sometimes, a product comes along that makes you feel like you're truly living in the future. This was the case when the Swarovski AX Visio binoculars were released in 2024, which claim to be able to take photos of birds and identify them for you. With a price tag of nearly $5,000, they're not in everyone's budget, but when we were offered a chance to give them a full review by our friend Tiffany at Swarovski, we couldn't pass up the opportunity. Hey everyone, we're here with Tiffany Kersten from Swarovski Optics, and we have the new AX Visio binoculars to test out today. They're a really innovative product, and they're the first binoculars that are supposed to be able to identify birds for you, and they have a couple other cool features as well. So Tiffany, can you tell us a little bit more about what these are and why people should be interested in checking them out?
Yeah, so the AX Visio is the world's first smart binocular. It has essentially the Cornell Merlin technology built into the binocular, and I was fortunate enough to go to Las Vegas in January for the world debut and to show the product at the Consumer Electronics Show. And it has several features. The main one that most folks are typically interested in is the bird ID feature. So you can focus on a bird and basically take a photo and identify the bird at the same time. It also has a location sharing feature, which I think is really cool as a guide. Sometimes I'm trying to give verbal directions for my clients and they can't find a bird. So now you can pin a location in the trees, wherever, and then you can hand it to the person next to you, and it will actually have arrows inside of the screen sending you back to that exact same location. So that's pretty cool. It also has a screen sharing mode, so if you're with people that don't have binoculars or with a larger group of people, you can actually share what you're seeing on the binocular on an iPhone or an iPad or tablet. So, yeah.
And then I'm assuming you have to charge them to get the
You do have to charge it. Yep, it comes with its own battery that's built in the back here. When you purchase it, it has 2 batteries and also the charger.
Okay, cool. And then, so say like you forget to charge it, it's still like a really nice pair of binoculars, right?
Yes,
okay.
It still optically works. It's a 10 power binocular, so you will be able to still use it as a binocular.
Cool. So it's 10 by 32. If you forget to charge it, you can still use it. If you do have it charged, then you have some extra kind of binocular superpowers you can share. So let's give it a test. We tried it out kind of the other day just briefly, and it was pretty cool to mess with it. Kind of digiscoping, you don't get the full effect, so we'll explain a little bit about what we're seeing as we go. We'll see how successful it is out in the field. We got right to work, looking at birds with the binoculars and trying to identify them. Red-winged blackbird, 1 for 1 so far.
I correctly identified it?
It did. So we got a red-winged blackbird. Used this, was kind of obscured by the leaves, and it got it right. So we're off to a good start. Warbling vireo.
Hey.
We're 2 for 2, and warbling is kind of a tough bird to try to ID.
It's kind of a fast-moving one.
Yeah.
What do you think so far?
It's cool. We're 2 for 2 on this run, and Tiffany was saying that we can see the photos then, like on the iPad or whatever you have connected to it, and it'll show like the species and the date. So that's pretty sweet. After a few successful identifications, some fast-moving tree swallows proved more difficult. Having trouble with them.
So far, humans have identified 2 birds in the span you've tried to identify the tree swallow. Tiffany, do you think this is user error?
I think there's a little bit of operator error happening here. There's a learning curve.
Learning, guys. I'm learning. So there's 2 settings for like the circle. So there's basically a circle on screen. You hold this down halfway, then you press down all the way, and you're supposed to have the bird in the circle. There's a bigger one and a smaller one. So I think if it's a smaller bird and you have the smaller circle, that should help. We had our first misidentification, had tree swallows, northern rough-winged swallow. Tiffany was saying there's actually a confidence rating, so there's 4 dashes. So if all 4 of the dashes are bold, it's more confident. So I'm assuming this one wasn't very confident, but that's our first mis-ID in this testing session.
If you take multiple photos, you can take multiple photos from different angles, and it may identify some of them correctly. So, you know, it's a machine. It does have some error involved, and that's part of why they put the confidence rating.
It's like, you know, it uses Merlin technology. So in the app, if you put multiple photos in, sometimes it'll give you different things. So you're kind of going for, you know, you got to give it the best information to make that identification. If you can give it a better photo, it'll give you a better identification.
So what's always important to do after you see identifications from Merlin and other things?
Double check it. Got to do some due diligence on that identification.
Don't just put it on eBird as identified by Merlin.
Right, and what's nice is then when you click it, it's giving you the photo, so then you have something to look back on yourself. Further down the path, we had another shot at identifying the tree swallows. We got tree swallow this time. So we had rough-winged swallow earlier, now we're on the right identification. So we got a 1 quadrant out of 4. So that's not super confident, but it still got it. As we continued walking, Tiffany also told us about another mode on the binoculars.
So also there's over 9,000 species of birds and mammals in there.
Oh man.
It does mammals too?
We gotta find some mammals.
That's gonna be a tough ask. Okay, will it identify human?
Yes.
Oh, it will. Oh,
Almost
Derek.
again.
Try to identify Tiffany.
So it has over 9,000 species of birds and mammals. So most of those are birds, but it does have some mammal species also, including US mammals. So.
And you have to switch it to mammal mode?
Back up here. So mammal mode, yeah, the bird mode is the bird, and mammal mode is a little squirrel icon. So you just rotate the dial there.
It says you're a black-footed ferret. That's rough. Now you're a human. Congratulations. After switching back to bird mode, we kept trying to identify species in the area, with some difficulties and some success. If it's not getting a bird, it'll say bird not recognized. So I'd rather have it err on that than spitting out some wrong identification. So it is nice that it has some level of like confidence in it.
Still in there. Now it's gone.
Not getting them
Too far?
Yeah.
What did it identify those as?
It identified it as a bunting, so it's not a blue jay. Well, it is a blue jay, but not according to these. But it was only a 1 out of 4 confidence rating.
Do you recommend just not trusting the confidence rating if it's like low? Like if it says it's a 1 of 4, do you kind of just throw it out the window or?
It sometimes, I think it did the tree swallow, right? With just 1 confidence rating. So it sometimes is right so, but it's definitely, the lower the confidence rating, the more likely it is you should check your work.
So
Check the binoculars
would you
work.
recommend using this as like a suggestion? You know, like, oh, it said it was this, let me look at the
Yeah,
picture.
you can help narrow things down.
And then do it. And you will have media of it, which is nice. So,
Correct.
you know, people will be out and they'll just say like, oh, I think it might be this, but have no media. So at least this is
Yes.
documenting it for you so you can go back and look, or
Yeah.
have other people look.
Every time it's identifying a bird, or sometimes misidentifying the bird, there's a photo to go with it. And the photo actually is labeled with the name of the bird that the binocular thinks it is.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Later on, we had some of our biggest difficulties when trying to identify an eastern kingbird. That did not go very well. We got American kestrel and Lapland longspur. So I think when things are a little far away, it has a little trouble. Maybe we'll have another shot at that one later. All 1 out of 4 confidence
Oh,
ratings.
here's one.
Oh yeah, it's close.
Oh yeah.
Closer
So this
and
will be
better
a good
lighting.
test.
Redemption time?
Yeah. So lighting can sometimes kind of come into play too, because if in bad lighting you'll get extra shadows and things like that. That the technology
Oh, it's
struggles
that
with a
bird
little
not
more.
recognized. 0 for 3, more or less.
That's very true about the shadowing though. I mean, even when anybody takes a picture of a bird, if you see shadows in weird places, it can really throw off your identification.
After our kingbird incident, we had more success. We got the yellow warbler successfully identified and a great blue heron. Stuff that's way far out, like there was a great egret out there, was having trouble with. Same thing with the great blue heron. It couldn't get it in flight when it was way far away, but then when it got closer, it got it. Oh, nothing on that female redwing. Too many leaves in front of it, I think.
Well, I have good news for you. We have a nice great egret right over there that you can try it out on and digiscope it.
So for this one, we're gonna try to get the phone on so you can see what it looks like. Before looking at the egret, we tried to identify a tree swallow and another eastern kingbird. Okay, this is working better today.
There's a kingbird upper left of that.
Kingbird versus tree swallow.
Kingbird up here.
Not getting the swallow. Okay, I got the kingbird. Finally.
So I have a theory too that some of these blue birds, so blue colored birds, it's not actually really a pigmentation thing, it's a reflection of light thing. So I have noticed that blue jay and tree swallow are 2 of the birds that it's struggling with, but it's been in really strange light conditions. So we're seeing this, naked eye, I'm seeing this bird as black and white.
Yeah, we got eastern kingbird, it got correct. Tree swallow, it had trouble with, called it cliff swallow for a second, but then it got tree swallow. So you might be right about the blue. It does seem to have trouble with the blue.
the reflection is probably an issue for it.
Next, we took advantage of the close-up grade egret to highlight the location sharing feature while digiscoping through the binoculars.
Okay, so now we've got the location sharing feature on. Just a demo here. We're gonna do this grade egret, not that it's not point blank in front of us. Let's focus here. Just a button. I'm gonna pass it over. You can see those arrows.
Oh, yep.
Ding, ding, ding.
Cool.
So you can imagine if that's something buried in the brush and whatnot, it takes you literally back to that exact same spot.
So I imagine that's great for beginners, especially, you know, if you've been birding and you're trying to show someone something. We've all had the experience of like, oh, it's by the tree. And then they're like, what tree?
The
you're
green
trying
tree.
to explain it. So if you can pin it, that's really nice.
It's kind of like a laser pointer to a degree.
Yeah. It feels like a scavenger hunt. It's like hot and cold. It's like, nope, you're over here. Actually, it's over here, up here. We also downloaded the media we took with the app in order to see it on the iPad. So we have our photo of the eastern kingbird, and it says eastern kingbird. It has the coordinates. It has the date and time. So that's all really useful information. Let's scroll through and maybe see one that it didn't get. So this is like the back of the tree swallow. And it doesn't have anything, but it still has the photo. So it's nice that you can look at the birds it didn't identify. Yeah, this is the one I thought was a Lapland longspur. It's the kingbird in the tree. So you can go back and review them. I mean, that's not bad for blue jay in flight.
Did it identify that one or no?
No. You can kind of tell like the ones that didn't ID it was blurry. So it's probably, that was probably me not getting it in focus enough.
That one had it.
This one?
It did
It got the blurry one.
Even though it was blurry.
For the detractors who say that this is ruining, you know, reports and everything, if you just do the work to look through your photos and verify the identifications, it's totally innocuous.
Well, I would argue that it strengthens it, because if you have a regular pair of binoculars and you think you saw something, you don't have any media. So at least with this, if you're trying to identify it, you have media you can look back on or have somebody else look at. So I think that's actually a huge plus for it. So let's get the live view. Oh, that would have been cool. Let's get the live view on the iPad so then we can see what's going on in the binoculars so somebody else can look. After looking at our media, we tested out the live view, which allows other people to see the binocular view on an external device, such as an iPad.
So we've got the live view here.
Hey, look at that.
Show us something, Derek.
All right, ready? I'm gonna go egret, bam.
Oh yeah, sure enough. That's got to be so convenient for tours.
So now you have a whole group of people that can see what you're seeing.
That's pretty neat. That does seem super convenient for like a group tour.
Well, so what you could also do is record a whole bird walk and then take it to like, you know, a classroom full of kids or something that maybe not be able to get out for the day, and they can have essentially a virtual field trip. So we're recording right now, so that whole thing, now we're recording the ground.
Hey, gotta
We'll
get the good
stop
stuff.
the recording of the video. So we can also do photos if you want to go back on the egret here. Got the great egret. We can do a little photo there. Photos. There we go. Those will be stored for later.
We just got done testing the AX Visio. It's really fun to use. Doesn't always get the ID right, but it's nice that it takes the photos and gives the confidence rating. So I think it's a really cool tool. I call things like these luxury birding items. Like if you have the money to spend on it, it's definitely a cool thing. Might not fit in everyone's price range, but definitely neat to test out. What do you think about it? You think people should get it?
I think they're fun. Yeah, it's people talk a little bit about the weight. They are a little bit on the heavy side, but you're essentially trading in your binocular and your camera for one item. So you're almost certainly reducing overall weight there.
How heavy do you think this is?
They're just over 2 pounds.
So it might be a little heavy for some people, but like honestly, it doesn't feel heavier. It's definitely not heavier than, you know, a full camera setup. So if you have the opportunity to stop by a Swarovski booth at a festival to try them out, I would definitely recommend it. They're pretty cool. If you're interested in purchasing the AX Visio binoculars, check out the link in the description below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.